Hey everybody, this is Darren Sabedra again with the Bay Area News Group, Mercury News, East Bay Times, here with Mike Lefkow, Sunday afternoon, early evening. And Mike, we've got the NCS seedings are out, and I think it pretty much went to form in the Open Division, the one that we always seem to talk about from the start of the season until the end of the season. I mean, we all saw De La Salle being the 1 seed, Liberty being the 2. The only sort of question was whether Clayton Valley would indeed hold off Pittsburgh for the number 3 seed, and the committee did put Clayton Valley at 3 and Pittsburgh at 4 because of Clayton Valley's head-to-head double overtime season opening win, game you covered back in on August the 17th. The committee made the right call there, right?
Oh, I think they got it right. Yeah, I mean that was the way they had to go. De La Salle, obviously number 1. Liberty's 10-0, so they have to be number 2.
Right.
And then there was going to be a little bit of a curiosity how they were going to seed 3 and 4, and it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Antioch had beat Pitt. But Pitt played very well against Antioch, and I think these were the 4 teams we had expected since before the season.
And you expected Pitt to be 4 because of that head-to-head loss?
Yeah, I don't think there was any other way they could go. I mean,
right.
Pitt finished 7-3. They played an exceptionally tough schedule. Clayton Valley did not play a real tough non-league schedule. I mean, they had Antioch and Pitt on there, but they also mixed it in with Stellar Prep and teams that aren't real strong. But at the same time, Clayton Valley is 9-1. They're a very good football team, and it'll be interesting to see how they do against Liberty.
Right, and then Pitt against De La Salle, another Spartan runaway.
Well, I talked to Vic Galley today, and he said they're going to give it their best shot, but who knows? I mean,
they're banged up.
Yeah,
he didn't rule anybody out, but I mean,
but their quarterback is hurt,
Jacob
and
Bandis
is hurt, and
Premier Murphy hurt his knee
and
against Liberty.
Murphy is a big loss because he also plays every down on defense. So, I mean, they're going in banged up. But even Galley said every team is banged up.
And De La Salle's going in looking pretty fresh after 4 consecutive wins in the East Bay Athletic League Mountain Divisions. I saw the Spartans for the first time in a few weeks on Friday night. They put the ball in the air.
Yeah, I mean
Dorian Hale threw for over 200 yards in the first half. And 3 of those long touchdown passes were to his favorite target, Grant Daly.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was the plan since the end of last season, was to throw the ball more. And, I mean, they feel they have to be a little bit more diverse on offense, especially if they're going to go after the big boys down south, Mater Dei, St. John Bosco. I don't know if Centennial Corona's in there.
As I wrote in the story, one dimension isn't going to cut it anymore for the Spartans. They got to have multiple facets to their game to compete against.
And even that might not be enough. But they recognize that if they want to play in that level, they're going to have to make some changes.
Right. Division 1, we both, after Antioch lost yesterday, given Antioch's resume, thought Antioch would be the 1 seed. We thought if Monte Vista had won the rivalry game against San Ramon Valley, that they would probably get the 1. And instead it went to Antioch. And Monte Vista dropped all the way to 5. And we were at the NCS offices earlier today, and we were told that Antioch, and we were told that Freedom and California, it was California. Then
California was number 2.
And then Freedom all had 2 signature wins, whereas San Ramon and Monte Vista had 1 signature win, correct?
Yeah.
And that is why they seeded Antioch 1, California 2, even though California lost to Monte Vista. Freedom 3, which lost to California, right?
Right.
And California lost to Antioch, so that was 1, 2, 3, and then they went with San Ramon in the 4 spot because of San Ramon's 17-10 win at Monte Vista on Friday night, and Monte Vista dropped all the way to 5.
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough to see. I think it was really tough to see those last 2. I mean, to me, it was kind of the advantage San Ramon had, of course, was they beat Monte Vista, and that is important.
Yeah.
The advantage that Monte Vista had, at least in my eyes, was I thought their body of work, their overall body of work was more impressive.
They had a good body of work, but they didn't have the win over Freedom that California has. That's a big win for the EBAL.
Oh, I mean, to me, the top 3 became fairly obvious after Monte Vista lost Friday night. it was going to be Antioch, California, and Freedom, and they were going to simply base it on Antioch beat California,
Right.
California beat Freedom. Here you go.
Right.
To me, the real tricky one was going to be Monte Vista or San Ramon Valley for number 4 and 5.
Right. So this sets up an interesting situation because there weren't enough teams to fill that 16-team bracket. So 6 of the top 6 seeds receive byes, correct?
Yeah.
Which means that we go straight into the quarterfinals for a couple of games, and that includes a rematch of a week 11 game, the last week of the season, which you just saw on Friday night. Monte Vista and San Ramon, the 2 arch rivals, going at it once again in the quarterfinals of the Division I playoffs, and this time they are going to switch and play at San Ramon Valley because of that seeding.
Right.
And given the emotion of this last game and the 2 horrific injuries on that one play that you saw in the last 2 minutes that kind of changed the dynamic a little bit because of the severity, or at least what appeared to be severity of the injury to the Monte Vista player. Thankfully, both players were released from the hospital on Saturday morning, middle of the night, and were sent home, and we here are doing well. How do you think getting back up, these 2 teams getting back up, they got 2 weeks to prepare for one another, but they're going to play each other yet again right away?
Oh, I think it's going to be a very emotional game. I think Monte Vista is going to come in sky high and wanting to win this game because, let's be honest. We did get an interesting comment today at the thing about how after the injury Friday night.
The thing being the NCS, when we talked to the NCS.
When we went to the
NCS offices.
And we were talking to Jason Krolikowski, the
principal
at San Ramon Valley, and he said he felt like the Wolves would score. The game was tied 10-10 with a little over 2 minutes left when the injury occurred. Now, San Ramon was driving, but the thing is they weren't that close to the Monte Vista goal line, and he said he felt like San Ramon would score after that injury. And I was standing on the sideline. Both kids were hurt, and it was scary. But the thing is that the San Ramon player, he acknowledged the fans as he was put on the stretcher and taken into the ambulance. And the Monte Vista kid did not. And I think there was genuine concern. And you could see the Monte Vista players were taking this.
And rightfully so.
Sure.
Very emotional seeing one of their teammates and friends and classmates go down like that.
Well, I got the feeling that the San Ramon players are more relieved after what happened because they saw that their teammate was more precautionary than anything.
Right.
I think the Monte Vista players, they were wondering how badly their player was hurt, Nate Ruchina, and you could tell there was fear in the Monte Vista players.
Right. So that's going to be a big quarterfinal. And Division II, we've got Rancho Cotati as the top seed. And Bishop O'Dowd got the 2 seed over Campolindo, which is seeded 3. Excuse me, I'm going to step away for a second and give Mike his phone.
So I can turn it off?
There you go.
I got it.
All right, we're back at it. We're talking about Division II. No byes in Division II. They filled 16 teams in this bracket.
Right.
With Bishop O'Dowd, the 2 seed, Campo, the 3 seed, Granada, the 4 seed.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise, but Granada has played very, very well. I think their only losses this year to California and Monte Vista.
Right.
So they are a good football team. They have a big star in Tolini Tia Malini, or Malini Tia, I'm sorry. And he is a really good player.
And they're going to have a rematch. They're going to play Livermore.
Yeah.
They just played them in week 10.
Yeah. What's Livermore seeded is 12.
Right.
I don't know. This is, to me, is where these 16 teams are probably not probably, in my mind, too many.
And Division III, the top seed was Cardinal Newman, which never made it to the board for the Open Division, but was at least brought up. They never officially made it to the board, which I want to clarify something that Gil Lemon told us today that I wasn't quite aware of, because everybody assumed that if Cardinal Newman had gotten pulled up into the Open, that was going to pretty much wipe out the Division III bracket, and give Cardinal Newman the automatic bid into the regionals. Gil clarified that today and said that had Cardinal Newman been pulled up, Cardinal Newman still would have had to have won one game to make it to the final of the Open Division to move on to a regional. So Division 3 still would have been up for grabs if Cardinal Newman had lost that first round game, which I thought was pretty interesting. Why would, if you're Cardinal Newman, you get pulled up to play with those big boys with no carrot of making it to a regional unless you beat one of those big boys? That's pretty interesting.
It is. And Cardinal Newman is a good team. I've had a lot of coaches tell me
they're a good team.
Really
good team. 31-14 loser to Liberty, though, which was not a bad score given what Liberty did all season. Division 4, Moreau Catholic, not a surprise there, right? Moreau's rolled through the competition. Division 5 was Kelseyville, correct?
Yeah,
Kelseyville. A couple of interesting things of note. We've been talking about this open division, Division 1, Division 2, blah, blah, blah. It's going to change next year. I mean, they are going to blow this up because runners-up are no longer going to be allowed to move on to regionals starting next year. So the North Coast section and the Central Coast section, two of the sections that do send runners-up out of their quote-unquote open divisions, they're going to have new formats next year. And Gil said, what was that important date coming up? It was like January the 25th, Board of Managers
late
meeting.
January.
Is the earliest that the NCS will make an official decision about how it is going to go with its divisions next year. And I raised an issue at our meeting at the NCS office today that if it stays the way it currently is, you're going to have teams, in my opinion, I mean, I've heard it through the grapevine through coaches, who'd want to be in the open division given that they have to go through De La Salle. I mean, the 5 seed is a lot better than the 4, 2, 3, and 2 if there's no runner-up moving on to the regionals, correct?
No, I mean, that's a definite situation now because, obviously everybody who goes on to the playoffs, you're shooting for a game in the state finals. And if you're in the open, you can't have that if you lose. I
mean, they mentioned that, well, at some point we're going to have this miracle team that beats De La Salle, but a lot of numbers crunched and stuff in sports these days, a lot of analytics. I mean, 27 years is not a small sample size of dominance over
it's
one
not.
second.
I mean, the thing is, De La Salle will lose to one of these teams at some point. At what point that is, I don't know. And how they're going to, who knows when it'll happen, but I can't. They'll lose eventually.
Yeah, but we had talked about, that if you lose and if they stick to a 4-team open division, and if you lose in the first round, you drop into a quarterfinal in Division 1, and if you lose in the final, you drop into a semifinal in Division 1, so you're back at least in that Division 1 pool, and then De La Salle can move on, but that also creates an issue that De La Salle would have, probably like close to a month off after winning an Open Division championship in week 2 of the playoffs, and then they're going to have to sit around and wait and play, like 3 or 4 weeks later against the Southern California champions. So,
well, you've talked about, okay, if you lose in the open division, the teams that lose drop down to Division 1. Right. To me, another thing might be, and I don't know how this would work out, but you take the 8 best teams in the state, and they stage their own separate playoff. It's not a section playoff. It's a state playoff from start to finish. You're seeded 1 through 8 by your rankings in the state. So you would have a Mater Dei and a St. John Bosco and Centennial Corona and Folsom High School. De La Salle would be in there, and maybe that's the way it's got to be done now. Or what you've got 10 sections in the state.
Right.
Okay, maybe you take I don't know that you should take the top seeds from each section.
You mentioned the section thing. I like your idea of the top 8 teams. Maybe use multiple rankings to come up with those 8 teams, But the sections themselves, I just don't think there's not the balance that to play against the Mater Deis and the Boscos.
Right, and the same imbalance you have in North Coast section with De La Salle, you're starting to have in other sections now. I mean, you have it in Southern section, you have it In Central Coast section, maybe not as much, but it is the West Cal almost every year.
Right.
And you have it up in Sacramento, the big story that the Sacramento Bee did about Folsom.
Right. Well, we're getting a little long here, but do we want to give our early picks for these divisions, or do we want to wait until we get closer to game time?
We can give early picks and change them. Hey, you know.
No law against Sam. I'm gonna go out on a limb and think De La Salle's gonna win the Open Division.
Yeah, it's.
I'm going out on a limb.
But
what about you?
No, I'm going to pick De La Salle, but I think Liberty maybe gives them a bit of a game and hangs with them for a while.
All right. Division 1. I'm going to say the winner of the Monta Vista San Ramon game gets to the final.
I'm going to say either Antioch or Freedom.
Okay, you're gonna go Bay Valley.
I'm going to say the Bay Valley is still. That is really tough football.
Division 2. Rancho's gonna be tough. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go Bishop O'Dowd. Or are you gonna go Campo?
To get to the final against No, I'm going to pick Rancho. I think Rancho.
You're going to go Rancho to win the...
Yes.
Okay. Division 3. You got Los Lomas, which is going to have to go all the way up to Eureka. And then you have the top seed Cardinal Newman. I'm going to go Cardinal Newman.
I'm going to say it's a Los Lomas Cardinal Newman final. So that Los Lomas, if they do have to go up to Eureka, will beat them.
Okay, but
in the final, you know, I'm going to wait on that one. I think Los Lomas is a really good football team, and if they don't have any injuries, look out. But yeah, Cardinal Newman is really tough this year.
Yeah, and then Division 4 is who's going to challenge Moreau? Division 4.
I don't think anybody challenges Moreau in Division 4.
Yeah, you know, the coach at Moreau has never lost a game.
Yeah, no, he's done a terrific job. Rob Guttrell went to Liberty High School, played at Fresno State.
He has still never lost a game.
And I think he had a cup of coffee in the NFL as well.
He did. I talked to him last year when he got the Moreau job. I'm just blanking on the school that he coached up in the North Bay. They were that 1 year that was Windsor, yes.
And Windsor has not exactly been a power since he left.
Division 5, I'm going to plead ignorance here.
I will say one thing: watch out for Berean Christian in Division 5.
Oh, there you go.
They seem to have their act together. I mean, they've been on a nice little roll lately.
Check out our coverage, mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. Sign up for the newsletter. We'll have lots of good stuff in there. Check out our coverage during the week. Anything else?
Not much more to say.
All right, that's a wrap.